Hello, everyone. I'd like to continue with the narration of chapter 6 from my manuscript, The Real Beauty and the Beast Life is Not a Fairy Tale. The title of this chapter is The Truth Not Masked. Maya and I enter my room where my desk and chair stand beside a bed meant for rest. I sit at my workplace and invite her to relax on the bed. If you're comfortable sharing your story, I'm all ears, I tell her gently. In moments of weakness, a person only seeks a companion willing to listen, to share the burden of pain. Maya starts crying again, visibly drained by the emotional weight she carries. She frequently glances at her phone, as if waiting for a call from Sandeep. I see a flicker of hope in her eyes, as though she still believes he will call and comfort her. She also stares at a photo of Chintu on her phone screen, a silent plea for a father figure for her son, more than for a husband's affection. I move closer, offer her a comforting hug, and suggest she rests if she wishes. But she refuses rest. Instead, she wants to share her grief with me. She begins narrating her life in fragments, and I'll follow the same flow she gave me. Because a disturbed mind connects memories in disjointed pieces, often focusing on moments that hurt the most. At such times, it's hard to see the full picture, the beauty and the beast within each person. Usually, the painful side overshadows everything else. Those who suffer speak as victims, seeking sympathy and a few kind words to soothe their souls. I ask readers not to judge anyone, and here I ask the viewers not to judge. Maya mentions or me as whatever Maya mentions or me as a narrator is writing here or narrating the or while narrating the story to you. Everyone carries both beauty and beast inside, and every story has hidden depths. Please simply listen with compassion to Maya's painful story. Still tearful, Maya sips the water I offer and begins her tale quietly, without dialogues, as some moments are too private to share with the world. It remains a secret between Maya and me. Maya, a graduate, worked in IT before her wedding. She was 25. She wanted to grow in her career, but never quite advanced. Two close friends once walked beside her, but she lost touch with them now. Initially, Maya focused on work, but after seeing her best friend marry, she felt an urgent desire to marry too, so she wouldn't feel abandoned by her closest companions. During a heartfelt conversation, her friend told her, Maya, after marriage, I may get busy. We can't depend on each other like before. You're already struggling with your sister's troubles. I'm sorry, but I can't support you emotionally anymore. Feeling lost, Maya turned to her other friend who advised, Get married, you won't feel so lonely. Maya lived with her parents, sister, and brother. Her sister was trapped in a broken marriage, abandoned by her husband. Her brother, a talented young man, was always busy like Maya. They tried to support their sister, but she was withdrawn in her own world. Amid this tension, Maya's father began searching for a groom. He forbade love marriages after what had happened to the elder daughter. Maya agreed, fearful of repeating the same pain. One proposal after another fell through when prospective families learned about Maya's sister's situation. Maya's father was in the Indian Army. Her mother was a homemaker. Eventually, a proposal came from Sandeep, an engineer and CEO from a wealthy family, discovered through a newspaper advertisement her father had placed. Without much investigation, they saw Sandeep as a suitable match. Maya wondered, why would someone so rich want to marry me? He could marry someone from his own status. She urged her family to investigate, but they relied on an indifferent cousin who lied about it. Eventually, Maya and Sandeep married. After wedding, she discovered he was unemployed and embroiled in a civil lawsuit. She felt deceived but feared returning home after witnessing her sister's ordeal. Torn between leaving and staying, she chose to endure, afraid of stigma against divorced women. She also learned Sandeep was an alcoholic like his father. His family was sometimes kind but often harsh, mocking her family background. The social gap weighed heavily on Maya, slowly eroding her confidence. Yet she clung to hope, praying she could change Sandeep. She kept the truth from her father to spare him pain. Meanwhile, Sandeep's family branded Maya as mentally unstable because she cried and expressed distress. They always sided with Sandeep, never correcting him. He could be harsh even during intimate moments, his smell of cigarettes and alcohol filling the room, yet she fulfilled her duties as a wife. She tried to heal him with love, painting a picture of a better life if he left his addiction. But he repeatedly lied, a compulsive liar shaped by childhood trauma. Slowly, Maya influenced him enough to move out and live independently. With her sister's help, Sandeep found a job. They moved into a small home with little but happiness, working hard and little time for each other. Yet Sandeep borrowed money secretly, causing tension. Over time, he became more responsible, supporting Maya. Their relationship grew stronger. Maya shared everything with him. A year into their marriage, they had a son. Maya, a child lover, felt blessed by God's gift. Yet the fights with Sandeep's family continued. He abused her physically and mentally, choking her, stamping on her feet, even during pregnancy. Physical wounds healed, but mental scars remained. As Maya oscillated between joy and despair, she learned her brother had become an alcoholic after a loss. Over the years, she lost her sister to cancer, her brother to alcoholism, and then her father. Now only her mother, Sandeep, and son remained. Sandeep, beneath his flaws, was a good man, haunted by trauma. His parents had married him to Maya for personal gain, believing in astrologers' prediction that Maya's presence would help their legal battle. When the case ended and Sandeep's father died, Sandeep chose to live with his mother, keeping Maya away due to their strained relations. He sought excuses to leave Maya, neither wanting a divorce nor wanting to live with her. His family regained wealth. He found joy in riches, while Maya sought love and peace. Sandeep hid truths from Maya, but she shared everything with him. Maya may seem naive, but she has heart of a lion, strong despite all her pain. After sharing her story, Maya looks lighter, a smile slowly returning to her face. It's time for Chintu to come home. I gently remind Maya, shall we freshen up before Chintu arrives? He shouldn't see you so drained. Let's not tell him or let him sense the storm you're walking through. She nods, wipes away tears, washes her face, and ties her hair back. I hand her a soft towel and we sit quietly for a moment, letting silence stitch together the ripped edges of our heavy conversation. When Chintu walks in, his face lights up seeing Maya. He runs into her arms with a child's innocent joy. Maya holds him tight as if he is her only reason to stay strong. Her eyes well up again, but she swallows the tears with a smile and kisses his forehead. That moment, Maya, holding her son with all the love left in her, felt like redemption, uh, as if the world owed her peace. She looks at me, voice steadier than before. I will never let him grow up feeling unloved, unwanted, or unsure of where he belongs. I may lost I may have lost my way in many parts of life, but I will make sure Chintu doesn't. He deserves a better story. We pack some simple, comforting lunch she knows he loves. As Maya prepares to leave, I walk her to the door and place a reassuring hand on her shoulder. I am just a call away, even in the middle of the night. She nods gratefully. After pouring her heart out to a stranger, she deserves to know she is not alone. Before she leaves, I briefly introduce myself, not just as a narrator, but as someone who has silently lived in the shadows of similar pain. She smiles, says goodbye, and heads home to welcome her son. Soon, Chintu returns from school, his bag bouncing as he runs towards her. Maya greets him warmly, but he senses something different behind her smile. Children read beyond words and expression, and Chintu is no exception. When he learns his father has left, His face hardens with a quiet maturity no child could carry. Without a word, he picks up another phone and dials Sandeep. They speak briefly. Sandeep promises to return in 2 days. Chintu turns to Maya with determination in his eyes. Amma, he says softly, Appa has some work at grandmother's house. He'll be back in 2 days. You don't worry, okay? He eats the lunch she packs as if nothing has changed, except everything has. Sometimes the best assurance for a mother doesn't come from friends or therapists. It comes from the small but mighty words of her child. All the comfort I offered couldn't bring her peace, but Chintu's quiet conviction seemed to heal something deeper. And with that, chapter 6 closes, not with the resolution, but resilience, a story still unfolding, a wound healing, but no longer hidden. I'd like to again repeat that this is not my story, and I am not the narrator of the story. I'm just the writer of the story. This is someone else's story, and it's being narrated by someone else, and I'm just noting it down and presenting her viewpoints in my way. That's all. So that's all for the day, and thanks for watching, and thanks for your time.